Hi, everybody. I think we're all set. I have had my computer say, I'm not sure if I want to work right now, just before we went to thing. Which is, how things go, right? Yeah. Okay. So, housekeeping. Hey, if you got a one-page comic idea that you can put in 1 or 2 sentences, or 3 words, or a simple, quick idea, or whatever it is, don't be shy. Speak your truth. Let me know. Put it in the comments, or put it in the chat. The chat's up there. Hold on, I'll put that on the screen. Bingo! There it is. Speak your truth. Okay, so housekeeping. Yesterday's page is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Come on. The suggestion is horses in hearses. That's the whole suggestion. And that came from the Kremlinator. I wish that it could echo when I said that. I wish it would go. That suggestion came from the Kremlinator. Nader. Like that. Does anybody else hear that noise? I hear a noise. Could be the voices. Yeah. Okay. Well, hopefully that's not coming through in the stream. So, yeah, I drew this primarily in white pencil crayon with a Faber-Castell Pitt Artist Pen Brush and a little bit of Posca, right? So, yeah, that I need a white pencil. So, just fun. It's just something fun when you get an idea as open-ended as horses and hearses, but at the same time, you got to have horses and hearses, right? But how do you make some kind of constructive narrative out of that? That was my objective. So as I was drawing the first panel with the couple of horses in it, and by the way, I reversed half of the things that I drew. I took the horizontal axis and flipped it for half of the drawings that I did for this page. Just because I wanted the. Hold on a sec, I'll show you. Right up the showers, press. There we go. So yeah, so I flipped the axis on half the images on this page. Hey, look at me, I'm a car. I got some horses in me. So yeah, this was a lot of fun though. Okay, I'm excited because today I got a sponsor for my stream. What? Yeah, so I got a bit to read about our sponsor. I'll do that in a few minutes. But in the meantime, thank you very much, Didi. I'm glad you liked that. It's very nice of you. Welcome aboard. Welcome aboard, anybody else. It's lurking. Just lurking in the background, not doing anything. Nobody knows you're here. Okay, so, yeah. Now, I'm not going to do the accent, but if you read it phonetically, right, you'll get the most stereotypical television accent for a group of people. Hi, Linda. Welcome aboard. I want to have fun. It's fun. Linda! Okay, so it's been a good week. It is Thursday. So Monday's page was the Elvis Resurrected for the Holidays. Tuesday's page was Don't Be Rude, also drawn horses. Wednesday's page, yesterday's page was Paperback Writer. And today's page is Horses and Hearses. So just trying different medium throughout the week, right? And having some fun. And all ready for the next one. But, things are going good. So now there's a couple things that, of course, at play. This week I've been chatting about reality. That's not heavy. Oh, I'm sorry. Before I forget, by the way, today's suggestion of horses and hearses came from Joshua Kimball, who I am only going to call from now on the Kremlinator. The Kremlinator. Hey, it's Jim Luan. All right, so before I forget, I got to do this. I have got a sponsor, and I have something I have to read. My sponsor is Bob's House of Fish. Bob's House of Fish, we stay open late for the halibut. Located at 201 Dundas Street in beautiful downtown London, Ontario. If you want to reel in a great meal, come on down to Bob's and get a bite. Thank you very much for your sponsorship, Bob. I appreciate that immensely. That's so super cool. Bob's House of Fish. Can't go wrong with that. Okay. We got lots of people popping in. Hello. Who do we got? We got Raoul's here. Hello, everybody. And then we've got, oh, Dee Dee's laughing at me again. And there's Gary. I'm going to look through our big window and see who's out there. Okay, so, hello. I like that he says hello. All right, thanks for tuning in, gang. So, yeah, yesterday's page was a lot of fun. And what? And there's Philip. Hey, Philip. What in the world, Raoul? Did you actually get your mail? Did you actually get mail? My goodness, this is good news. Okay, so today's suggestion, thank you to the Kremlinator. It's the only thing I'm calling him from now on for the suggestion yesterday. And this is my suggestion. This is my suggestion for the Kremlinator. I think that he should leave notes wherever he goes. Like when he has lunch, he just leaves a little note on the table, you know, in the kitchen. It says, this lunch was eaten by the Kremlinator, and just walk away. Always keep them guessing. All right, so we got a bunch of suggestions still standing, but the door is always open for more people to throw down some more. Gary's here to bring the electro glitter funk. All right. Anyways, today's page is there is and always will be multiple Earths. I have to write it down because you know that's not going to stay in the noggin. Today's musical selection of choice, which I'm going to plug back in my ear in a second, are, and you might want to write this down, the 5, 6, 7, 8s. And the album is called Bomb the Twist. I've already forgotten it. Oh my goodness. That's why I keep numbers on my kids. It's not true. There is and always, look at that. I just switched 3 kinds of handwriting there. There is and always will be multiple Earths. Ooh. Yours is just one of them. Well, it says but one of them. I'm going to go with the but. Sorry. I'm juvenile. Oh my God. And this is one of the outstanding one-page suggestions that I have. So I'm trying to catch up on it. Those and the current ones that are suggested, and we got a lot of cool ones all around. So, Philip, look at your messages. Raoul's got his groove back. Somebody should make a movie titled that. All right, good to hear, Raoul. Okay, so I have, so one more time, there's yesterday's page, a lot of fun. There is and always will be multiple Earths is today's page. And what I've done is that I have pulled out a heavier grade paper stomp. It's a vellum. It's got a softer press to it, so there's a lot more teeth in this sucker. And it's the Carson Bristol. And in Canada, we have to have everything in English and French. So, bright white surface. 30% post-consumer fiber. Okay, so this is the page the paper I'm going to work on today, because I am going to do today's page in watercolor. Well, it's never just one thing with me. There's going to be a few things, but it's started new. Look at that. This is good. That's a lot of work you got going on at once, Raul. That's good stuff to hear. Okay. There is and always will be multiple Earths. This is our page of the day. And thank you once again to, hold on, I'll put it up. I'm going to keep doing this through the whole thing because I'm just really taken by the fact that my magic sponsor, Bob's House of Fish. We stay open late for the halibut. Love it. Love it. Thank you very much, Bob's. Okay. Very exciting. Okay. So today I want to talk about artistic weaknesses. This is part of this whole reality thing I've been yapping about. And it's, oh my goodness, plug that up. There we go. I'm doing a Hey Man on Sunday. This is Jim Luan's podcast for anybody that isn't aware. Please check it out. It is very good. Look up Jim's YouTube channel and subscribe and get the ding dong so that you can get notifications for it. And check out his Hey Man, how's your movie going stream, because he talks about the production of an animated film. And he gives you secret hints. You're one of the inside crowd at that point. And Philip says, "Hey, Christopher." I don't know, that's not your voice, but this is how I'm reading it. "Hey, Christopher, do you ever get any supplies from Bijan?" Sorry, folks, it's a London question. Yep, I do. I know Bijan well. He's Bijan's Art Supplies in downtown London on Pall Mall Street. It's a really great art supply store, and it's an independent. Nothing better than supporting independent art supply stores. We got Bijan's in London. We've got the Craft Hive in St. Thomas. And, there's some good shops. And I would far more like to support them than I want to support Michael's. And Michael's has some great supplies, but, not the same. Ridiculous. StreamYard just kicked me on my own thing, but I'm back. Okay, maybe the best response to that. Roll. Like, dude, he totally disappeared. All right. Philip says, "I missed that place. If this happens again, I'm gonna. I know that Didi, you went through this recently, but if this happens again, I'm going to get cantankerous." Yeah, Michaels didn't like that comment. That's true. Okay, Philip says he misses that place. It's small, but man, they got a lot of great stuff, and the price is better than Michael's. What are you doing to me, Philip? I had to read that out loud. It's going to shut off. Come on. All right. So, So today's page is there is and always will be multiple Earth. Yours is but one of them. I got this magical tool. I don't know if anybody knows what this is, but it has circles. And I'm going to put a circle on a piece of paper here. So if I can figure out how to make that circle work. All right. So, yeah. Anyways, the idea I wanted to chat about today, and ongoing with the things that we've been chatting. You're going to get me in trouble, Philip. It's a template. Yes, it's a template, Didi. It's a circles. Hey, you can make planets or moons with that. We're on fire today, everybody. Okay, so the whole idea I want to chat about was, and again, it comes from this ongoing conversation, at least one conversation I'm having with somebody on a regular basis, and they're still going. It's all about the whole notion of improving oneself creatively, right? Didi has 2 sizes of these sheets. So do I, Didi. Okay. The whole idea of improving oneself creatively as they go is the questions that I'm getting asked by somebody, and which is great, and is something that we might want to strive towards. I'm a big proponent for evolution and striving ahead, but it doesn't. But I wanted to say something towards that because I'm afraid that maybe other round things. Yeah. There you go. It's Melig. These are Meligs. Anyhow, I know that lately I've talked about growth, and part of the artistic reality that I've been trying to talk towards is the idea of knowing yourself and knowing objectively what it is that you're in pursuit of and what it is that you want to say with your work or do with your work, or the idea of we assess ourselves to be A, but we're performing B, all these sort of little things that all come together and just assemble the little secret sauce that makes up who we are and what our journey is. And I don't want anybody to think that I mean that you have to always grow, because I don't. I don't believe that. I think that if your style works for you, and hey Sarah, you're good. There's nothing wrong. Absolutely zero wrong with that. Who is going to tell Mike Mignola that he needs to change it up what he's doing? Who is going to tell anybody in this stream that they need to change up what they're doing because they're static and they're doing it wrong? That's not fair, and that's not right. And further to the whole conversation about should we even in the first place have this sort of criticism of one another's work, I think that it's I don't want anybody to think I'm telling them you have to grow, you have to move forward, or you're not doing it right, because that's not true. That's not true. You're doing you, and you're not wrong. You are doing your thing in your own way, and that is just as legitimate as anything else, whether it's growth or not, whether it's look at Picasso. His depression led him into reduction. He went from a highly representational artist as a young man, and a friend of his, he moved to the big city, and with a good friend of his, and they both fell in love with the same woman. His friend professed his love to the lady. It did not go well, and he didn't continue on after that, and it highly affected Picasso, launched him into depression, and that's where his blue period came from. And that blue period and that reduction of assessment and approach to his work, and going from this highly representational realistic style, and we're eventually ending up with ladies with 2 eyeballs on one side of their face, and just deconstructing things and looking at things from a different headspace and perspective. And it's largely because it's an act of dealing with what he needs to deal with and expressing that through his work. And that's everything doesn't have to be profound, but at the same time, everything has its own merit. But you can deny your weaknesses, or you can address them, right? You can look at things that are holding you back creatively and negate those things because you're in a good spot where you are creatively and you're good to go. But if you want to be this other thing, you have to address those, whatever those shortfalls, those challenges are, those weaknesses are. And you have got to look at the necessary steps you need in order to be, I want to be this photorealistic painter. Well, then there's an awful lot of things you need to figure out along that way. Or, I want to be whatever it is I want to be, recognize what's necessary for those things. If you want to be a storyteller, there's with visual elements in it, there's a great deal of things you need to have and under your belt along the way. And it's going to take an awful lot of time to get there. But if you're comfortable in your stylistic approach to everything, be comfortable in your stylistic approach. Okay, so I'm going to draw different earths as I go. That's my entire intention today. The page of this, there is and always will be multiple earths. I don't know what thoughts that gives other people, but for me, it just sort of says, well, let's examine Earth, right? So, and try to look at what could other alternative Earths look like. So that's what I'm doing today. And now, mind you, I'm not just going to be drawing or painting all kinds of different planets. I've got a larger narrative intended for the story, but we're going to do a few because it's a fun idea. It's a fun opportunity, a suggestion like this to, multiple Earths. Okay, I get to experiment that. I think that I made notes. I've got notes now because I lose track of things. Yep. Okay, weaknesses. Back to weaknesses. The other thing that to look at with your weaknesses is how do you convert those things to strengths? Like if you've got a highly stylized approach to stuff, is that a weakness, right? Or is that something that is uniquely you and you want to lean into? I like that. Can't we just let this happen already? Come on. There's something to be said for embracing your own unique individuality and let your freak flag fly, as it were, right? There's all kinds of ways in which we can identifiably explore. I got blow my finger. Poo-poo. And we can identifiably explore our stylistic approach to things. And, like with anything else that you're doing, assess what it is you're doing and how you're going about it. And if that has its functionality, if that has its merit, that it's working for you, not that it's meritorious to anybody else, everybody else doesn't matter, remember. Go for it. There's no such thing as having to bend and conform to what other people think you should be doing. I was reading Alan Moore last night. If you're not familiar with Alan Moore, he was a very prominent writer in comic books. And is Raoul off? Listen mode. Okay. So Alan Moore said, it's not up to where's my note on that one? Different notes. Eventually I'll be organized. It's not the job of artists to give the audience what they want. It's just not. It's people's suggestions, and you should do things this way, and you ought to try that. It's a kettle of fish I open up with the one page comic suggestion motif, because it's giving people the opportunity to, ostensibly harangue me. Do this one now. Hey, monkey, go do this one. And go draw a surfer who has water powers, and I've opened the door to that. I really have. But at the same time, that the whole idea of one-page suggestions means that I might not necessarily do it. And oftentimes, whatever your suggested idea is, I'm not one for taking instructions on how to do it. If you want me to instruct me to do a page for a person, then that person's going to pay me. But if here's an idea, okay, we're off and running, we're having fun, right? You've got to have fun. Dee Dee says, but it is fun, Christopher, to suggest. Oh, no, it's absolutely fun. I'm 100% with the fun. I'm 100% with hit me with anything, and I'm going to go for it, because if I didn't want to do it, I wouldn't do it, and that's something that we all need to be conscious of. There's Raul, we got an all weekend Easter going on here. My wife's Dutch. So yeah, when it comes to, hey, can you do this? Here's an idea. What do you think of that idea? I'm good to go. But then there's other people that I've had one person who just keeps reminding me of the same thing. And then somebody else today said, do this one. I'm like, I already got it in the book. But another person was, are you doing this yet? When are you going to do that? When are you going to do that? And I just said, oh, yeah, I'm not doing it. Because relax, this is fun. Nobody has the ability, the audience does not have the ability to dictate what the artist is doing. It's not about, like Alan Moore says, it's not about the artist giving the audience what they want. It's about the creatives and artists and so on and so forth giving the audience something they might need. And I really like that, what he said. I really do. I think that notion is really fine to me. And the reason that I think it's so fine is because it suggests the idea that maybe there's ideas and approaches and thoughts in the way that we are telling stories that they might find some interesting growth from hearing. But at the same time, it also determines the fact that the audience doesn't get to dictate well, that didn't work as well as I was hoping it would. The audience doesn't get to dictate what it is the artist is creating and making. They just don't. That's the rules. They can try if they would like to suggest ideas. That's perfect. That's what we want, right? Engagement, but yeah, better dry. I'm working on dry one. Got a dry one over here. We want people to feel that they can. Got the template sitting right there, and oh, for heaven's sakes, why do I even buy the things like the templates? Anyways, it's about giving the audience what they need. Maybe they don't even realize they need it. Maybe they don't even know that there's something, and it's not to say that we're more sophisticated than anybody else from a creative standpoint. No, but we're just people as well. But maybe there's a crazy notion that passes through our noggins that they haven't quite considered, and they may not have considered it because of however the world is for them, and that's 100% legitimate, right? That's you're going to have ideas. Anybody that's watching this, you're going to have ideas that I don't have. You're going to have notions and perspectives and approaches to things that would never cross my mind, and it's a gift, the affordance of opportunity to be able to look at your work and see what you're creating and what you're making. And that illumination that happens for me gives me something I need, something that I didn't even realize. Wow, that's a different way you can do something. That's important, or that's a different kind of story than I've read before, than I've heard before. And that's the whole thing about this crazy talking monkey thing we got going on, is we're all about communication as a species. And before you tell me we're not monkeys, I already know. Because communication is such an integral part, that's why all these cultures have similar stories to the Tower of Babel story that is a Christocentric myth, or parable. And a lot of cultures have similar stories of the Tower of Babel, of a loss of communication amongst people. Whether it's in the form of a tower or whatever form it's in, those things are recurring throughout the world, throughout history, just like the flood myth and all kinds of other things. And because those communications of ideas, they afford us the chance to find new ideas, to have new perspectives on stuff, to be more wary of building our house right beside the ocean. Whatever it is, it's one of those things where the congress of ideas and the exchange of these notions and ideas and amongst one another, it can do two things. It can inform, positive or negative, or it can illuminate, right? And I differentiate the two in my head because Informing is something that you may well know, but you need reiteration, or it's just a factoid, like something that is going to be of benefit or detriment to people. But illumination is something that expands. It's not just an idea, a specific thing. It's something that's an idea that is illuminated to us, has a tactile change on us. Nowadays, we talk in terms of memes for all of these little silly videos and things that of people saying the same thing, and oh, look at my funny dance, and 63 million views of my dancing monkey. And memes as an idea is nothing new, and even this assessment of memes as being something that's so radically changing. It's not a new thing. It's the inherent notion that we pass around information between the two of us. Philip, you're back. Good to see you. Sorry that your phone. Okay. And hi, Chris. There's so that exchange of information, that exchange of ideas is of great benefit to us and great usage for us. And it can make things larger and bigger. So when we look at our own shortfalls, when we look at our own weaknesses, in the sense that I want to be able to do this, or I have intentions for my creativity, my art, my whatever it is, to be seen as this, or to be performative in this way. That's great, but we got to recognize how we're going to get there. And there comes challenges. There comes the thing is that if you're on that path, if you're on that journey, if you're doing that thing, you're good to go. But if you're not, if you're removed from that, whether it's skill set, whether it's audience base, whether it's connection to the thoughts you're trying to have, and those things hold you up. Those things hold you up and keep you from your course. They keep you from being able to follow through on bridging that connection between you and audience. Not giving them what they want, giving them what you're providing them, what they need from your skill set. Building on your own challenges and weaknesses and shortcomings from where you want to be to where you are, and doing something with that. I'm a big fan of not doing the same thing as everybody else. I'm a big fan of sharing ideas. I'm a big fan of sharing approaches, sharing ways to create a thing. This is manganese grass paper, if in case anybody's wondering. I'm going to put it right up here. See the grass that's in it? Actual pieces of grass is what this paper is made out of, with a subtle green dye. So that's the random thing that I decided to do this earth on. This is going to be a typical Chris pile of mess. I'm even going to put this on my scanner. Scan a marble as one of the earths. Yeah. So whatever it is that you're pursuing, creatively, these challenges, these shortfalls, whether it's something developed along the way or something that currently you feel you might be falling short of, that's the effort. That's the work, right? How do you engage those things and build on them? Find a way around them, change whatever it is that you need to change in order to meet that expectation of self. I'm all about that. Do your thing and pursue it in the way that you want to pursue it. And its outcomes will eventually get you to that place that you want to be at. It's just like we've talked about before this week. Sticking to it. Discipline, right? The stick-to-itness of it. I want to do this. I want to be that guy. I want to have these things to say. How do I go about doing that? I think the biggest thing that we forget creatively is regimentalization is a good thing in some regards, and in other regards it's not. What I mean by regimentalization is routine, preparedness, You know, you got a workspace, you're good to go. Maybe you don't have a workspace, that's okay, but you've got a compact little setup that as soon as you have an opportunity or the affordance of time to do something, then your little setup goes beep, bop, boop, and there you are. You're ready to rock. And so that this regimentalized, or you've got a certain time during your week, your month, your minute, whatever time you get to do your thing, and you're going to try to do your best to stick to that. Now, at the same time, live. At the same time, don't throw life under the bus because this is my grand time. Life doesn't work that way. That's not how you keep it frosty and fun. But allow yourself that. And if you want to address those things, if you want to address these challenges and these weaknesses, that's how you go about doing it. I've been playing a long game for a long time, clearly. And what I mean by a long game is years and years and years of working in the evenings, weird times, because kids, and that takes precedence for me, for my choices, right? Or having a partner. Allow yourself, if you're living and having a life and you have a partner, you have a partner. If you've got a job, you got a job. If you've got, people you live with, roommates, friends, all those things, that's the living part, right? The rest of it comes together, and it comes together over time, because I realize what's been flaring my thing out is I don't have the overhead camera directly on here, so it doesn't white out the whole thing, but hopefully the page is brighter for me to work on now. I hope that's improved for people. Sorry. Allowing yourself the time to do your thing is good. Allowing yourself the time to live is better. And you're doing your thing part gets incorporated in there whenever you're able to do so. That's a long game, though, because your whole thing isn't going to happen tomorrow. But it's a loaded game in the first place for everybody, that I'm going to become this person. I'm going to be recognized as that. I'm going to become such and such. And there's a lot of factors for you to become Andy Warhol or whoever, I don't know, whoever, right? There's an awful lot of factors for you to become some named whatever. And some of those factors are quite unfair, right? And some of those factors are, well, that you can overcome. You can overcome all the factors, I'll be honest, but some of those things are harder to overcome than others. And having connections and knowing people and having some affordance of accommodation for materials and for space and time, and all of those little things come together to make the elixir that is what you need for you to become whatever it is that you want. But none of that matters. None of those externalized things specifically matter if you can't give yourself the time to legitimately look at who you are, what you're doing, what's next, what's your intention, what is it that you're heading towards or intending to do. And when you can find those things, when you can find that mixture of your intention along with your reality, your grasp of the wherefores, whys, and who's it's and what's it's around you, if once you get all that mixed together, you're off, you're running. Don't worry about what other people's assessments are. Don't worry about what other people's expectations are. Don't worry about, well, I would have done it or I did it this way. None of that matters. Taking those challenges, like not having all the connections or not having a degree of economic accommodation as in relation to so and so, which is where I'm going next. None of that matters. You're not keeping up with the Joneses here, which is, to use that expression, you're not keeping up with the person beside you. You're just not. This isn't a comparison. This isn't a competition between you and whoever. You're doing things. If people engage with the things we do, Yahtzee. If they don't, there's somebody out there that's like I say, there's some little girl on the other side of the world who lives in a place without hydroelectricity or computers or anything like that, in a mud floor hut, whatever it is, and she's just waiting to see this picture of different Earths that I'm painting. Until I meet that girl, I have not made it yet. You know what I mean? Like there's a call to the work for you creatively. There's a draw for you to go out and do this. It doesn't necessarily mean that because of that, you're going to be whatever out in the world there. It just means that you have a call to it. And for your own fulfillment, you're going to pursue it to whatever level that you can. But be honest with yourself about that. Take some of that pressure off that. You know, it's a weakness not to have all these connections. It's a weakness not to work in this type of the industry. It's a weakness not to, you know, be amongst this socio-ideological group. That's one way to look at it. The other way to look at it is I'm not in that socioeconomic group. I'm not in that socio-ideological group. You know, I don't know everybody under the sun or have an affinity to work in that specific industry. And that's the stuff I need to sort out to whatever extent I can, because you can't change some of those things. You can go to all the rich people's houses in the world and knock on their door. Hey, get to know me. They're not going to get to know you. They're going to get off my front porch, right? But there's things that you can do by just, you know, getting that routine into yourself. What I'm going to work at this times here. If these available opportunities come up, I might take some of those on. If there's chances for me to engage with other people, I'm going to try to figure out that. I'm going to build and I'm going to work towards whatever my thing is. And if my necessity of engagement externally with other people is part of what's going to make me what I am, then I'm going to do that. But look at the situation. Look at yourself. Don't capitalize on the shortfalls. Don't capitalize on the challenges. Sorry, I've had a low blood sugar overnight, so I'm going to tremor every now and then. So don't look at those things. You know, life gives adversity. I'm not going to sit here and compare whatever my adversities are against whoever might be watching, because they're just not the same. You know, this is what I've experienced. This is what you've experienced. So from that perspective, it's hard to sit down with the Joneses and say, well, what worked for you and how did you do this? And how can I get that thing to happen to me? There's so many more factors than just, you know, I walked into that guy's office and I said, you give me a job, and he did. And I've been in the industry for all these years. And, you know, okay, that's a 1 in 1 million thing. Or my cousin Bob was the editor, and he said, hey, you know, I want to color this. And so I'm a colorist now, you know. There's so many different factors, so many different situations, and so many different ways that your situation, your pursuit, your ambition for your career can or cannot come together. Recognize the things that you've got the arduous journey in front of you. If you want to be that guy, do what you got to do to be that guy or gal. You know what I mean? But don't get locked into that. Don't sit down and just overly focus on, well, nobody can get a job in graphic design if they haven't got a diploma. Yeah, everybody needs diplomas nowadays. Maybe not. Maybe if you've developed skill sets and have a professional attitude and have a maturity to you and dedication and ambition to put yourself out there, take on jobs, get exposure, go and apply at places and say, look, I don't have a diploma, but I got these skills. I promise you, you're going to have opportunities to present yourself without having to spend X amount of dollars getting a diploma. So anybody that feeds you a bill of this is the way for people to get forward, or this is the way for people to have jobs and do things, they're wrong. I'm not one for absolutes, but in certain cases, there's such a thing as wrong and being unfair and maybe not fully considering, the reality of the other person's situation. You want to be one of the village people, you can be one of the village people. And I don't mean, this isn't some, I literally mean the village people from New York, the singing group. If you desperately want to be a member of the village people, I'm sure that in some way, shape, or form in this world, you can contact somebody and find out about, is there something that I can do in order to keep the village people alive, to keep the public's interest in what the village people ever were going. So, isn't that fun? Allow yourself that. Recognize what you got to do. This is, what do we got? Sorry, I'm trying to word. Hey, did you see your page, Anonymous? They always want me to draw them like one of my French girls. Yeah, do this way. This is the way to go about doing this. This is the right way. You're doing it the wrong way. Not the most fair assessment of things. You're going to find your own facility for something. You're going to make those your own connections. You're going to take the shortfalls that you got and try to put that together. Interesting reflection. Thanks, Chris. Oh, Dee Dee's back. Shit, a neighbor stopped by. Hi, neighbor. Yeah, whether if people have other thoughts towards that or disagree, Chris, you're crazy again. That's fine. You're welcome to put them in the chat. Let's all chat together. But it's a long time. I know I do that. It's a long time of watching friends, watching other, people that I've shown with or I've worked with before, watching other people that have fantastic capabilities, but, all these other factors come into play that they can't follow through on what it is that they want to do. I got a lot of years of that, that I've been watching these sort of things happen, and they're not fun. And it's kind of disappointing. I'm not disappointed in the people, because that, again, that's a judgment I don't care to have. But it's disappointing that things didn't work out that way. Things didn't come together for an individual. And I want for everybody to have that sense of fulfillment, to have that sense of elation with themselves, because they're bridging that communication gap. That may be one of the core reasons that, these crazy creative types do what they do. I want people to be able to have that opportunity to pursue that interest. But how, right? So this is the next part of my notes. How? That's for you. The cop-out. The easy answer, right? That's for you. And what I mean by that's for you is, I can't say that there's a way to do it. That's what I've tried to preface that before. There's no such thing as whatever my journey was, or whatever my experiences along the way are to get where I am, or to do the things that I do to whatever level. That's not going to work the same. It's simply not going to work the same. There's so many factors into that. So I don't have an answer for you, and I'm not going to tell you, well, you need to probably go to college or university and get a degree. That's good for some people. That really does work for some people, and it helps other people pursue interests. If you want to teach at schools, you've got to go to school and get some kind of certification so that you can go and teach at schools. If you want to do appearances at schools and teach in those an idea in those classrooms for a little bit, then you can do that. Jim says, I just want to let you know that drawing looks very fantastic as usual. Hey, thanks. That's nice of you, Jim. Have a good day, buddy. Look forward to Sunday. Hey, tell everybody about your thing again one more time before you got to go, if you have a moment. Hi, Jane. Welcome aboard. So I don't have an answer for you for the specific course that you need to do. And the reason for that is whatever the specific pursuit that you have in front of you is, this is where you need to take on that weakness of, I want to do this specific thing. And sit down and ask other people that are doing that thing, what are some of the things that you did, in order to be engaged in the thing that you're engaged in. I'm looking to draw someone like one of my Quebec girls. Do I have to go to school for it? Oui. So you can ask other people that are doing the thing, or you can sit down and go online and there's tutorials out there. You can look at all those online things and figure out how to go about doing those things. If there's somebody that is doing something in a studio nearby that hasn't got a problem with you ghosting them in the studio, and ghosting them, standing over the shoulder and not being a nuisance, but standing there and picking up on all the things that they're doing, right? Okay, here we go. I'm doing an episode of my Hey Man, how's your movie going on Sunday at 7 Pacific time, production diary of my animated film, The Full Fungus. Excellent. Oh, thanks very much, Raul. Thank you. So whatever it is that you want to find fulfillment in, that's the massive challenge. That's the big old thing about, how do I do that? If there's some crazy wackadoo who's yammering on on a stream about his pontifications on the nonsensical reality that he lives in, but at the same time you can pick up on him grabbing a water brush and duly doing a whole bunch of different versions of what Earth could be, and you're like, well, why did he do things that way? Stay tuned, McDuck. I'm going to show you. And ask questions, then do that. Right? There's another way. Just watching these channels of these people, showing you shortcuts. Memorex. You want to learn how to draw like anime style. There's a guy named Memorex on YouTube that literally talks to you about the lines that make up the eye. And if you want to draw that using that formulaic approach that he takes, watch him. There's a person named Lois B. I don't know how to pronounce it. Lois VB, and she does the same sort of thing. She does it with more of a painterly approach digitally. So there's all kinds of people like that. Aaron Blaze. You want to learn how to draw big old jumble cats? Aaron Blaze would be. There's so many things. There's so many things that you can do, and so many things that you can learn, and so many ways that you can try. But there's no such thing as a one and only way. And then the second part of that, and again, referring back to our whole notion here of weaknesses, be honest with yourself. I want to do oil paintings that are 12 feet by 30 feet tall, just like Jacques-Louis David or who cares? Some big gigantic canvases in a salon style in the Louvre, right? Well, I can't. There's a weakness I identify. I'm allergic to oil paint. So that's not going to happen. Just not. But it doesn't mean I can't switch to acrylic if I want to do works that big. Approach it with different materials, but I can't use oil paint, right? So it's addressing and acknowledging your weaknesses in general. I really love to do a storybook about surfers that have water powers, but I can't draw surfers, right? Learn to draw surfers. or just take the facility that you have now, take the ability to draw whatever it is that you draw now, and try drawing a surfer. Is it going to be looking like that guy over there or that gal over there? No, it's your surfer, it's not theirs. Even if you're following somebody else's formulaic approach, like a couple of those names that I just mentioned, you're still not going to draw exactly like them. And if you are, well, cool, that's your journey. I think that, man, I personally, I've never been able to emulate something to the point of, to that level of craft where I can really, really figure out and break down how somebody else does it and do that way, because I got too much, maybe I got too much weirdness in me. But if you can do that, do it. If that's your bent. There's so many things and so many opportunities out there. We have to recognize those things. If there's always biases, and you're always going to hear people's individual bias. I got as many biases as the next person beside me. It's completely natural. We inform ourselves through experientialism, or we inform ourselves from our ideological or social beliefs, and we make assessments based on those facets as well as more. All those little neuroses. It's a natural thing as a human being, as a social creature, to have as negative feelings as it is to have good feelings. It's important to recognize yourself and say, this is who I am, this is what I'm doing. I like that thing or I don't. Like their thing, great. Tell them you like it, fantastic. You don't like it, shut up. All right. Sorry, I don't mean to be mean. There's nothing, you're not going to help them by telling them you don't like it. You're not going to have too much blue. It does nobody any good. It's a Picasso's blue period. Did not need people shouting at him that you're using too much blue, guy. Jane says it's hard not to judge your own work against someone's work that you admire. However, we all want to do better art, don't we? Are we ever satisfied with what we have achieved and don't aspire for more? That's a lot. Are we ever satisfied with what we have achieved? You should be. Maybe that's too declarative, but you should be. Acknowledge, this is what I talked about yesterday. Acknowledge the things you've done, good or bad. Acknowledge the growth that you've already had, right? Recognize that. Pat yourself on the back. You've done those things. You learned how to draw a fish, right? Oh, yeah, I'm going to do nothing but fish for the next 6 weeks. Whatever. Acknowledge the things that you've done and the things that you have achieved. Is it 100% what you would have done today? No, you're not the same person you are today that you were yesterday. You're just not. There's no part of you within 7 years that's the same you. It's just that it's the spirit that continues. The body is constantly renewing. So allow yourself to recognize that whatever you did last week there's going to be something about what you're doing this week that's got a little more you to it, because you've developed because of the thing you did last week, right? So you want to look like Bobby. Do everything you can to copy Bobby. Do everything you can to copy Bobby, but you're going to be Bobby or Bobby too. But if that's what a person wants, then go be that thing. But it's hard, right? You want to aspire to be like them. You want to aspire to have their skill sets. But even though you're doing everything you can to be Bobby, you're not going to be Bobby. You're still going to be Sally or Davy or. But yeah, we all want to aspire for more. We all should, right? It is very heady, Jane. It really is. But, I do silly comics and I talk a lot of smack. I'm satisfied with what I've accomplished. It took too much to get there to not be happy when something turns out better than I thought. Yeah, well, you should be happy with something that doesn't turn out as good as you thought, as good as you had intended. Be happy with that. That you were informed. You have learned something in your failure. You have learned something in that weakness. See where I'm going? You have learned something from that, so that the next thing you do to endeavor towards that thing to turn out how it is that you wanted, you're closer to it. And you're closer to it because you acknowledge the thing that didn't work out, and you're going to try to engage in a different way towards your objective this time. It's going to be the same drawing? Probably not. It's going to be the same anything? Probably not. But because even if you replicate every factor, including whether it's raining outside or not, even if every factor was replicated like that, there's still a transitional change in you because of the previous thing that you've done. You know not to stand in the middle of a rush hour traffic, just doing a fine little dance, because you've learned somewhere along the way that that's not going to work out for you physically. Somebody's going to do something and you get hurt. Don't get me wrong. I'm very happy with what I've achieved, but I like the learning a new thing. Oh, no judgment, Jane. There was no judgment on my part. Sorry, I hope if you didn't get any, but there's, I think that you are very happy and satisfied with what you've done. I just think that in the expression of, are we ever satisfied with what we've achieved? I think you are. I think we all are. I think that that's the important part, is that we need to be, because if we can be, then there's nowhere to go but up, right? There's nowhere to go but forward, because you've already learned what's going on down there, down on the ground. It's like the idea of a mountaintop, right? You're climbing from plateau to plateau to plateau to the top of the mountain. Are you ever going to reach it? Maybe, maybe not. But because we're always going to aspire to more, we should, right? We should aspire to more. We should want a little bit additional for ourselves, a little bit to say that, well, now that I'm up here, I can see over there. Frankly Mapley says that learning and continuing to grow is good. Yeah. It's good to thank you for saying that to me too, Frank. I mean, that's an encouraging thing, is that allow that, value that. You're going to have people that come up to you because people think they're helping, and they're going to say things to you. And I know that everybody here, you don't have to tell me your experiences, because I know that everybody here has had this happen at some point. Somebody has said to you, what are you doing and why are you doing that? Right? Or there's a cartoon that I've told people about a number of times. It's my favorite cartoon, which is also the worst cartoon I've ever seen. It's an artist sitting at their easel, and a person in a suit stands beside them and says, "That's very interesting. So what do you do for a living?" We've all got different judgment systems. We all got different perspectives on how the world works, and what our expectations are of what a fulfilling life is for us individually, or what a fulfilling life is in general. And people are going to look at you and what you do and not get it, because they're in a different place. They're in a different headspace, different type of person. If you're not talking about Dodge Ram trucks, then they've got no basis of comparison on reality for you, because that's all they're interested in. And not to just, anything. I'm just using that as an example. Maybe their whole thing is electric guitars. It's all the same thing. It's not going to be the same thing. There's a whole bunch to be said for that acknowledgement of, this works or this doesn't work for me. I want to aspire to more. I want to take more time for where I'm going, that I need, take more allowance for myself to recognize what I've done. I don't want to turn anybody's creative process into some sort of metaphysical, sit down and assess your chakras and think about how that interplays on your expression. Again, I've got, all I can do is example in this world by saying, I got a pencil and I make marks on pencil. The congress of dialogue that we all get to have because of the magic of the interwebs, or the grace and blessing that I think it is that I've met so many cool people online. That's a gift, right? And if I can say, hey, look, dude, I got a pencil. Look what your pencils, right? And somebody goes, hey, I like that with the pencil and the rubbing thing on the paper. I'm going to try that thing out. Awesome. Too many restrictions in the world as it is. Too many ways to devalue yourself creatively. Too many ways to keep yourself from your project's conclusion. There's too many ways from you to say, I'm not going to be able to do this because of there's two different ways to look at that. There's the realistic one. I can't draw your 650-page opus about a surfer with water powers because I have these things that I'm pursuing in my own interest, but I also have these other obligations in my life, and I also have these other interests in my life. And as much as I want to facilitate your 650-page opus on surfers with water powers, I'm realistic in myself and my artistic expectations. This goes back to Monday about my goals, my objectives, my wants, my needs, my reality, looking honestly and truly at my reality, realizing I can't do that. I can't fulfill that for somebody else. And I can't carry that like a weight because they're so disappointed. The thing that being a dad taught me, and being not being a grandpa, has taught me, is that no is just a reality. It's not a good or a bad. No is just no. How come? Because no. We'll get into all the specifics and the nuances and the information of why yes and why no's as we go on, through development, through life. We get to do those things. And I'm not just talking about with the kids. I'm talking about with yourself. You get to figure out the wherefores and whys of no. Why can I not wake up tomorrow and have the same lifestyle that Lou Reed had? Why not? You can aspire to have some outcome like Lou Reed. You can aspire towards songwriting and playing music and being connected to the avant-garde art world and friends like David Bowie, etc. You can aspire towards a life of that, but you're not going to be Lou Reed. You're just not. And that's healthy. That's a healthy assertion and a healthy association and understanding of your reality creatively, and your awareness of self and your awareness of your shortfalls. Why can't I be Lou Reed? You weren't born Lou Reed. And once you've got those things, and once you start looking at my reality, why can't I paint like this? But because you haven't sat down and put in what is it? What's the expression? How many hours is it? I think it's 10,000 hours. If I'm wrong, somebody please let me know. You haven't put in I'm going to say it, 10,000 hours to paint like that guy. You haven't. And that is a factor of why they do what they do. If you put in 10,000 hours, are you going to paint like them? Close, but you're still going to paint like you. Bob Ross is not unique and original in what he does, or what he did. I'm sorry. Bob Ross learned from another guy who was going around the United States and doing what Bob Ross eventually started doing. And he said, I really like what you do. And I'm out of the Army now. I want to do something like that. And the guy said, well, let me show you how I do it. And then Bob put his spin on it and used his colors and his connection, like his association of light. And so that he started doing his paintings. He painted as Bob Ross. My granddaughter likes to watch Bob Ross and paint watercolors. She's never going to be Bob Ross. One, she's using watercolors and he's using oil paint. There's the first weakness there. There's the first shortfall there. But aside from that, she's only ever going to be who she is. I kind of like who she is, so I'm good with that. But there's a challenging thing for some of us to recognize, I think. There's a challenging thing in that for some of us to be able to clearly associate the idea that, things might not. I say I want to do this and I say I want to be this, but I am not taking stock of the who's its and what's its all engaged around that. I have not really thought through and considered enough what it is I need to do to become that, to do that thing. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so here's a bias. I have a bias because of, I recognize that there's effort involved in writing and illustrating stories. And so I have a bias when somebody comes up to me and says, yeah, I'm a writer. And then they, okay, cool, that's awesome. And they've never written anything. Right? Or, yeah, I'm a writer. I got this idea. It's a 650-page epic about a surfer with water powers. That's great. I hope that you're following through. Or you want to talk to me about drawing it for you? What is this conversation? Well, no, let me just tell you the story. Well, do you have it written down? Maybe I can look at it. No, I don't have it written down, but let me tell you. Then you're not a writer, and you haven't done your story. And that's my bias, right? Because over time I would hear that X amount of times. And as much as I want to be encouraging and supportive and say, go do that, at the same time, I am subduing my bias. I'm not going to say to that person, you're not really a writer, I'm not going to say, dude, don't bother me with your book. I'm just simply going to say, if this is something you're looking to pursue, I think you should sit down and pursue it. And explore that opportunity for yourself and do your book. Because what more have I got? It does no benefit to this other person to diminish them. It does no benefit to anybody else to say, I'm better than you are, or yeah, I'm not going to be in any way encouraging or supportive of whatever it is that you do, because my moment, me person. I'm a writer. You can see all my Instagram posts. Sure. Yeah. Instagram writer. Is there an Instagram writer? Yeah, you're a writer. Frank's not on Frank's not on TikTok. Chris isn't on TikTok. Dee Dee's not on TikTok. I'm not on TikTok. Raul, you're on TikTok, but Raul, I think you're a bit younger than some of us. I'm an old man. I'm about 100. I got no business being on the TikToks there. I just largely because I don't know what the hell I'm doing. So, and I don't want to. That's my granddaughter looks at TikTok. I know some of my kids look at TikTok, but I'm out. Jane, you're not on TikTok either? No. Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Yeah, same here. And Patreon. That's I post everything on Patreon. I post all my original sketches and illustrations to make pages. I post those scans on Patreon too. That's the catch-all. That's the everything. And on each of those things, I announce the next episode on Patreon too of what I'm doing here on YouTube. I'm not suggesting, go over check out my Patreon. I'm just saying that's the only other one that I do. You do Etsy. I don't do Etsy. I'm also at that point now where I understand that limitation that it presents me, right? Weaknesses. But at the same time, well, my Patreon doesn't pay me anything. I've got 3 people that are like, hey, here's some shekels, fella. I don't, but that's what some people use that for. I saw the feed of my students on TikTok and it was shocking. Oh no. And Anonymous says they're not on TikTok because I only allow the CRTC to brainwash me. Oh, that's fun. Yeah, I can't do all those things, largely because the second part of that is a decision I've made, and this isn't a judgment at you. This is a judgment at me. If I'm on those things, I'm not getting the other things done that I need to be getting done. The more distractions that I present myself, and we live in an age that likes to distract, But the more that of those that I present myself, the more that I'm going to hold myself up from doing the objective things that I want to do. So I don't. That's not a judgment on anybody else and their choice to do so. It's just I know for me, I can't do it. Uh-oh. Hi, Rachel. Uh-oh. So, yeah. So the whole idea of taking those skill sets and taking those developments that you made over time and putting those to use of allowing yourself to take those learned experiences and skills and to further that, perfect. This all builds one on the next. It's a little hard and strong what I came out with on Monday about, being realistic about your reality first, as opposed to talking about that last. And it's not, I'm not specifically, I don't aim at anybody. There's no specific examples here that this is in reference to, but there's a great deal of people out there that they don't do that. They don't look at, I want to be Guillermo del Toro. I want to be Karen Kane. I want to be, Serena Williams. I want to be whatever it is I want to be. And no, it's good to see you, Rachel. I'm just being silly. Uh-oh. Not oh no. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Rachel's going to give me trouble. I did something. Rachel's like my meter. If there's anybody that can catch my sass, it's Rachel. He's ridiculous. Yeah, there's that whole thing about being aware and being conscious of saying that you want to be a thing and you want to do a thing and then saying no to it. I turned down an exhibition in Toronto that I had applied for. They sent me back, hey, we'll put you on a list. And then I said, well, that's a no. And I moved on with my day because I don't have time for lists. That's a lack of appreciation for other people's time. If you think that they're going to sit and wait for, your arbitrary decision at whatever. I don't know. I don't like things like that. So I made plans and I made other opportunities and then I'm going to take a week off and the following month from when that exhibition was going to be in the same city. And then they said, hey, no, we got you a spot. Yeah, thanks, but I got other plans now. Sorry. And I've had people tell me, what are you, nuts? That's the big enchilada. That's the who's it, what's it's in here in this country. And it's like, yeah, well, not this year. I'm realistic about things, and I'm realistic about who it is that I am and who it is that I'm doing. And I'm not banking everything on this expectation that that's my necessity for becoming whatever it is. What am I missing? It's a full-time job being RJF. That's got to be a great job. I like that RGF. She's all right. Oh, here we go. Don't go up changing. Come on, everybody, sing along. When on Instagram, I can multi-post to other platforms. I can post on one place and it goes to 3 other platforms and I can get back to what I need to do. How do you do that? Because I post individually on every platform. See? Strengths and weaknesses, right? What type of style drawing are you doing? Do you also like the whirly style? But Raul, I love you. I don't know what the whirly style is. I don't know what the chibi style is. I'm not as informed about different stuff, different titles and terms and things like that. So I apologize if I don't know what whirly or chibi or the other things are. I had to look chibi up to understand that because I appreciate you as well. Rachel says choice is a wonderful thing. Dun dun dun. Yeah, that's what all the voices say in the back of my head. When you can call Salazar Sal, or you could call him Frankly Mapley. I think there is a link when you post on Instagram. It gives you that option. Post to Facebook at the same time as Instagram. Christopher does Christopher. I like that. I like that a lot. You get a star. That's an important truth. That's for sure. I'm my own weird peccadillo, and you know, I'm goofy and I'm silly and I can't help it with the silly joking, you know, and not being overly serious all the time, and yet at the same time, I'm always thunking. That has to be one of my favorite expressions I've learned of late. Thunking. So, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing not wrong with being your own unique individual weirdo you. There's somebody out there that gets that, right? That's the other part of your that's the other part that we've been talking about, is your realistic assessment of not just your skill sets, not just your path, your direction, but your realistic assessment of and your own critical examination of what you're doing and who you are and how you self-define. And the unfortunate reality in the creative world is that is not something that anybody is teaching anybody else to do. There's an awful lot of leaning into, here's how pen work, make pen go, right? So, what am I with Frank? There's a little button thong. Oh, you got caught. You can't drop a Freudian slip in this group, Frank. It's a spell mistake. We love you. We're teasing. I use that link chain from Instagram to Facebook. Excellent. Yeah, there's not enough education out there. There's not enough. I think that it's a healthy thing for younger creators to be able to ask somebody who's been doing it for a while. There's always those sort of, hey, what pen do you use? That question only gets you so far, right? But there's another thing that you can learn and glean from, the realistic identity of self in the process of creation, and the rationale about living in the real world. In the process of creation, there's a lot you can learn from beyond than just the tools, right? And while learning the tools are good and learning the tools are great, we got all kinds of us that are sitting here going, look at this, here's one of them. And I'm going to make a mark like this. Look at it. You will make a mark too. You know, lots of it. There's lots of that. Lots of us do it. There's lots more people out there that do it. And I watch some of them too. You know, I like to watch, there's, a number of the people that are here, I like to watch how they go about creating stuff, right? Well, everybody here, you know, that I've had the opportunity to do it. So, you know, which part of that sentence am I laughing about? Social interference. That's fantastic. I practice social interference in the nicest way possible. Yes, you do. It's Rachel says it's usually what or who is attached to the pen that makes a difference. Indeedly do. And that's the thing I'm always harping on, right? Hopefully I'm not harping at you about it. But that's the thing I'm always referring to, is that you have got your way of doing it. It's not the same as the person beside you. And which is why I'm always advocating, I want to see what other people are doing. You know, I'm interested in other people's interpretations of the same thing that I do, or I'm interested in just seeing what other people are doing in general. I learned so much from watching some of these crafty characters that are even in this stream right now. I learned so much from some of the application of materials together, and the thought processes of individuals' approach. Dee opens up a book I have on the shelf below my desk, of mysteries, and she's done collage work inside of it. And for all the years I've been doing what I do, and for all the books that I've collected, there's no part of me that has ever considered actually doing a collage in the book. You would think that, you know, You would think that that would be the case, that it would just be some this ready notion. It's not. That we learn something from everybody, right? Rachel says, if all of us are Picasso, we not fully appreciate Picasso. That's entirely true. It's entirely true. If everybody was Van Gogh, there wouldn't be a Van Gogh. But it's another thing to enjoy and to aspire, like to appreciate, and the work by others and the creativity of others and the processes of others. And it's another thing entirely to have that same level of assessment, same level of appreciation of self. There's not enough of that. And there's not enough encouragement and education of that. And even if there was lots of it out there, I would still be that jerk that says there's not enough. Because there can never be enough. There can never be enough encouraging one another to follow those ambitions. There can never be enough of one another saying, hey, you go do you, But at the same time, there's also never enough of people that have the facility to stand beside us and say, hey, if it hurts you when you punch yourself in the face, stop punching yourself in the face. I don't agree with critics. I just don't. I think that if you're omniscient, that's different. But if you're omniscient, we're meeting a whole different person. It's the idea of one person's aesthetic appreciation, one person's knowledge of a specific form. It still doesn't change the fact that every one of us individually has our own biases. We all do. Yes, there is. That's what I do too. Anyways, there's no such thing as an absolute. There just isn't. If you're an objectivist here, if you're believing everything Ayn Rand has told you, we have just a different ideology. But I think that there's got to be more to it than that. I think that we've got to have more allowance and more appreciation of, the way that Bilbo Baggins paints the walls in his little hobbit hole, right? I think that there's something to be said in that, and there's something to be pursued in that, and the recognition of ourselves that we're never going to be that guy. Good. The recognition of ourselves about if we want to be like how another person works and aspire towards that, we got to be realistic about the things we got to do to get there. There's got to be an ability for us to be open-minded and at the same time appreciative and accepting. All those little things, those annoying little doodly-doos. One of the things that I've noticed here in this larger online community I've had the grace to be allowed to be a part of is it's a lot of good people. There's a lot of good people. It's not one of these other social platforms like Twitter or something like that. And if you're a big Twitter person, buckle up. Because I've never met so many jerks gathered in one place to fire hot and hard against other people's belief systems as I have seen on Twitter. It is not a healthy environment. I don't care who owns it. I don't understand that. Never will. But I have not experienced that here. I've experienced a number of adult, fully grown and rounded people that are here to just cheer each other on and tell each other to stop punching themselves in the face because it hurts to do that. Gary says, I'm delighted to say that I've never had a Twitter account. I had a Twitter account for 3 weeks. That is as long as I lasted. 3 weeks, and I couldn't get it anymore. I missed. Hold on a second. I love the Mama, you're a doodle. Aspire to be a doodle. Yeah, I forgot about that line in Driving Miss Daisy. Chris says, I just read on Twitter. No interaction. It's awful. It's almost like watching a car crash. It's almost like, and also it's a wind. What is that called? A wind tunnel, like an echo chamber. Those algorithms are only going to feed you the same as Instagram, everything else. But those algorithms are only going to feed you the things that you want. So if you like watching train wrecks and car crashes, they're going to feed you a lot of train wrecks and car crashes. If you like watching heavily left-leaning arguments about the right being wrong, or heavily right-leaning arguments about the left being wrong, or if you want to watch, as many video or comments that you can find from Bill Maher or whoever else, or Joe Rogan, or any of these other nonsensical beings that don't speak for all of us, you're going to find them. That place is crazyville. Jane says I sampled Twitter a couple times. Nope. Bad vibes. Bad vibes are not for me. Earl's never been on Twitter either. It used to be fun. These days, Gary, you aren't missing anything. Yeah, Twitter was a substantially different thing in the early days, but it was a free congress of ideas that we're not going to see its like again, by the way. We're not going to see any of these social platforms like again. Because even now with Instagram, even now with Facebook, even now with, Twitter, there is the dissemination of platforms that's now happened, like TikTok and everything else. There are so many things, Mastodon and all these other sites that are starting up to be social hubs. It's the deregulation of ideas. And so what happens sometimes in society, right? In Ontario, we had Ontario Hydro, Ontario, Canada. We had Ontario Hydro, and this is probably the same for whatever state or province or wherever anybody's living. We only had Ontario Hydro. And then some laws were passed here, whether it was federally or provincial, I don't remember, I don't care. But laws were passed about the deregulation of one body related to the government overseeing service. And that all these other providers can now provide you with your hydro bills and things like that. And so every armpit under the sun was out there in the wind trying to get people to sign up with their provider system or their thing now. The hydro deregulated, prices went silly for all these different people competing with each other. But the truthful fact was they weren't competing with each other. They're working hand in hand because they all want as many shekels as they can get and not to underbid everybody so that nobody's making any money. And that the same thing is happening with everything right now societally. It's happening with the music industry. You can see it. It's happening with the television industry. You can see it. But the same thing is happening with social media. We're at the cusp of it, where if I don't like your opinion, I'm going over there. If I don't like all of this, I'm going to go over there. It's too much. Typo queen here. I hear you. I could be a typo queen too. True that. Thanks, Jane. Stick with your local government provider, fellow Canadians. It is so much easier to just leave it as that. Rate birth and price be yours too. There's this whole sort of thing that happens, and that ambiguity that comes around, and that this discourse that is so very much about an echo tunnel, echo chamber is what I think I'm getting to, is that it allows us to remove ourselves from critical thinking and realistic thought and looking at both sides of equations and all that stuff. And I think that the more and more that we see that societally, the more and more we're going to have this disallocation of us as a whole, from global community, isolated pockets, global community, but what everybody wants specifically for them. The more that we differentiate, the more that we divide, right? Well, no, we need to differentiate this and that, but move your public service to a private business is crazy. Remember, businesses need profit. Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. That's absolutely true. And as soon as that starts happening, the service went down. The quality of things go down. The more that you deregulate something. It's the same thing. Bell phones. We're all across Ontario, Canada, maybe. But as soon as all these other providers came along, the service quality went down. Oh, all kinds of options for payment plans. Service sucks. That's how it goes with everything, and it goes with this. As soon as, and this is what AI is, by the way. This is the truth of what AI is. It's the deregulation of creativity, and that's the part that people should be afraid of. Nothing more than that. Robots are never going to replace people, but there are going to be enough people out there that are going to go plunk, plonk, plonk. That's better than what somebody could have drawn for me. And the more that happens, the worse it gets. No offense to anyone who is a big Twitter fan. I don't believe that this stream is professing big Twitter love. But it started, I said, nothing worthwhile can be said in so few characters. What was it, 140? I said the same, that was the same thinking I had. I can't be that concise about anything. You know what? I think I'm being proven right. You definitely are. Exactly, Jane says. 30-second videos. 30-second videos are pointless. 30-second videos do not do anything, any benefits. Hey, have a happy Easter to you too, Raoul. Later, take care and go and enjoy your Dungeons and Dragons movie. There you are. Gary says, I'm going to try and see D&D this weekend. I can't believe people say it's good. Oh, yeah, you never know. You never know. There's that's a tough thing about movies, eh? If you know somebody that likes the similar things to you and they profess that they enjoyed it, then that's a worthwhile opinion. But there's other things that, like, oh, the critic says that. How about people? But Dungeons and Dragons is supposed to be a lot of fun. So, real wizards. Wizards are real. I like what the Dungeons and Dragons film looks like. It has some kind of degree of rationale about it. It's kind of fun. There's a lot of movies where the magic is just sort of outdoes outdoes the suspension of belief of disbelief. This guy sat down and drank a cup of tea, and now he's making a whole world full of dragons in the sky. There's a certain point where you have to have some sort of underlying logic to a thing, and I think that Dungeons and Dragons movie looks like it does. So, never listen to movie critics. Never, ever listen to movie critics. Everybody swears by Siskel and Ebert. They were wrong on so many things, and then changed their opinions about it later. They're just human beings like the rest of us. And again, omniscience, right? If you don't have omniscience, you're not speaking to everybody. And you can't speak for everybody. I have a great deal of friends that are all into B movies and the horror. Not my jam. Not my jam. We even have a convention. Always. Yep. That's There's this whole B movie adherence in the city here where everybody is big fans of the slasher horror bad film genre here in London. There's an entire convention for it. Shock Stock it's called. A lot of fun, a lot of crazy antics, and a lot of engagement for like-mindedness. But it's not my jam. It's not my jam. It's a different headspace that many people that I know and appreciate, and they all go to this. You should come every year. You should come, man. It's awesome. I don't know. You got people walking around on chains. It gets weird. You horror guys are nutty. I'm a prude. Yeah, different folks, different strokes. I do think it's funny. The more chaotic and just absurd a film is, yeah, why not? You got a few minutes. It's not hurting anything. You might not watch the whole movie, but give yourself a couple of minutes. I really like a lot of Asian cinema because there's some crazy stuff that they do in their movies. There's one movie I watched where suddenly the entire film switched to to plasticine. So I'm like, why did this just happen? Nothing Freudian. I had a phone call that disrupted my typing. We knew that. Chris, it was great having you aboard. Thanks very much. Good to see you. Take care. Have a great day. And if I don't see you, have a great Easter. I'm back. No. Yeah, there's a whole bunch to be said for exploring the things that you enjoy and for giving yourself a moment to appreciate those and enjoy those and like those and celebrate those things. And I'm a big supporter of encouraging everybody to don't forget to do that for yourself too. Don't see all the little bits of grass that come off the paper as you're working on it, because this paper is actually made out of grass. Isn't that fun? Whee! Grass everywhere. I thought you were leaving. Glad you didn't. There we go. It's Easter? Oh, yeah, this weekend's Easter. Well, at least here in Canada. I think it's Easter for you guys there too. I would think it's Easter for all the Easter people. Yeah, it's fun. It's a really fun surface to work on. I like, if you have an opportunity to go and buy one of these kind of weird pieces of paper that's made up of feathers or grass or whatever it is, do it. It's silly and goofy and gives you options and opportunities. All right, I think this is dried enough to get some noodles in there. What's it going to take best? No, not that either. There we go. This is a grease pencil. Hard to find. Yeah, I appreciate the support and encouragement that everybody gives to each other. It's really important to do. I'm gonna go. I'm going without leavening through Easter. Oh my goodness! You take a bow. You take a bow for that one. That was good. Yeah, again, like I was saying, I appreciate the support and encouragement that so many people here give each other. It's very commendable and to be encouraged for sure, because so many people are on this similar journeys, maybe creatively different outputs, but similar journeys, and they got questions. Some of us have answers too. Some of us don't. They got things in front of them or things within them that are putting them, like tearing them down or holding them up. I like when somebody negatively speaks about themselves. So many people give that person a hard time for speaking bad about themselves. I like that a lot. I've never understood why we celebrate giant heads on an island. Oh, for heaven's sakes. Look what I'm dealing with here. You guys are great. I saw somebody ask somebody that if they want to go see Dungeons and Dragons. This was at there was an art talk where some of us were meeting other people in the arts community in the city and sort of trying to encourage younger creators and stuff like that. It was kind of neat to be asked to be a part of that. But there was that Dungeons and Dragons came up in that conversation, and said, "You gonna go see it?" And the guy went, "Is that the one with the dragons?" And the other guy, "Yeah, yeah, no dragons." It's just so. It was so declarative. No dragons. It's just the dragons. That's his whole problem with the whole thing. Just the dragons. What is Rachel saying? Grease fence allows a 1950s marks on glass surface. You got it. In my dad's toolbox. Get it out. Play with it. I'm not kidding. It is awesome. It gives you these similar abilities like crayon, but with more propensity to work on anything, right? I'm going to write on glass, right? Like it's going to appear. It's going to make a mark. It's going to make some edge. It's a great blender. It's all kinds of things, but they're a bugger to find. I have to go to, I think it was Home Depot we got last time. Still got that up there. Sorry. They didn't have D&D when I was a kid. They had D&D when I was a kid, but it was the first edition. I remember when the second edition came out. It was a big deal, and largely because people could find it. You couldn't find the first edition ones unless you had a friend who had more accommodation than everybody else. Just because they were harder to locate because there were less of them were produced, right? But when that second edition came out, and then it was quickly followed by the 1980s Satanic Panic. D&D will make children kill themselves, and don't do D&D because it makes you talk to the devil. And those sort of things that we used to do in the 1980s, where rather than looking at the individuals that are behaving in those ways, let's just look at a general interest thing, like Pokemon gets you into the devil. It's the same sort of association. People don't need artificial means to make bad decisions. They're going to do it themselves. All right. Oh, there you go. Jinx. Home hardware is grease pencils. That's good to know. Good to know. Did you look it up? There's a big scam in the 80s about kids taking things too far. Oh, yeah. Helen Hunt, who was on Mad About You, and the actress Helen Hunt, her first film was about a girl who smokes a marijuana cigarette and throws herself out a window. Slow down now. Slow down, Rachel. We got impressionable young minds here. All right, so my whole notion with this page is to sit down. The suggestion is there is and always will be multiple Earths. Yours is but one of them. So my idea is, and the reason that I've done all these silly little planet Earths, one of them just being an egg, is that the first part of this page is just going to be this overlapping, nonsensical bunch of little planets, little planet Earths, little different perspectives on it. And some recognizable, some not so much. And I like the idea of silliness like that, taking there is and always will be multiple Earths cheese, right? So, and then yours is but one of them. So the next idea would be to take one of those images, one of those planet Earths, and to ostensibly zoom in on it, and to come and then to open into a scene of people on Earth going, "Oh my goodness, thank goodness we weren't on that planet." That's my silly notion. That's the silly idea. Thank you, everybody, by the way, for the suggestion to find these stencils, to go and look for some of these, because this is fun to just put that texture in there, and for no real reason, just because, I've been using a piece of paper for wiping tone out of my brush on. That'll be fun. It'll be nice and rigid when it dries. But yeah, so I'm going to do a few more silly things on this piece of paper and put that together and get that assembled for tonight. So this is less of it's going to be silly. Everything I do is silly, but this is one of those fun suggestions. So I'm always open. If people have more suggestions, throw them at me. I just write them down in the book, and eventually I'm going to get through everything. But the one I posted today is the 80th piece that I've done since the start of the year of the one-page ideas. That doesn't mean it's the 80th page. It's I'm at 92 pages, because one's 6 pages, one's 4 pages, etc., etc. But You know what? I never even thought that people might not know what tiddlywinks were. So it just sounded like you were saying something silly, and I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make it sound like you're being salacious, Rachel. There we go. Yep. There's two ways you could do it. Anyway, you could have an elastic, bow, fire them, or you could have a low thing. Yeah, so I'm just going to keep doing these. But at a certain point, I've got to sit down and put these together and figure out which ones I'm going to put in the new volume of One Page Comic Extravaganza. So the request is out there in the wind for volunteers. If anybody has interest in, we'll have a little private stream at some point, and then we'll just throw things on a page and yep. We played pickup sticks, jacks, marbles, etc. Marbles, crocs. That's what we call them in Canada. Crocs, the big ones. Yeah, all those things. Such good fun. You never see kids doing that stuff anymore. You know, remember Billy Baloo against the side of everybody's houses? There's always some kid doing that. You know, all kinds of things. Lawn darts. Lawn darts are interesting. All kinds of activities that children just don't do. Whatever happened to the hula hoop? Huh? How many of you just saying hula hoop just makes your mind and your body go, I remember that. Yeah. We built forts in the woods. Oh, everybody built forts. Everybody. Do kids not build forts anymore? That's terrifying. Okay. All right, Jane, you got to explain that one. Yeah, pogs. I remember when the kids had pogs. All right. Okay, so I think I'm going to wrap up for today. I'm going to get all this stuff done tonight. Hold on. I'm going to give Jane a chance to explain what that game was that the boys would play there. Nothing with electronics, but you did have pocket radios that you listened to as you rode on your bike, or you on your skinny board, your banana board. Yeah, you never see kids outside as a tragedy. It's an absolute tragedy. We force our grandchildren outside every visit, but it's not that we have to, actually. They love the fact that they can just do whatever they want here. All right. One kid would throw a tennis ball in the air, and all the other kids would run. When it was caught, they had to freeze and let the guy with the ball throw it at their butts. Oh, my goodness. That's great. Oh my gosh. My goodness. We used to do the same thing. You'd throw it up in the air, and then everybody would try to run. So we had the brownstone buildings. I grew up in the projects here in London, and there were two brownstones, and one kid would throw the ball up in the air in the middle, and all of the other kids would scatter to the side of one building or another. And as soon as that kid got a hold of that ball, he just wailed somebody in the back, right? Just wailed them, and you catch it in the back of the head. It was because children can suck. Boys can do some dumb things, that's for sure. Boys is exactly right. I was in the late 50s, 60s, 70s here. And Gary wants to play that game. Oh, he doesn't want to play that game. Are you sure, Gary? Yeah. No, it's just dumb game. We used to play guns when I was a little kid. We played guns, but nobody ever owned guns. Nobody ever had toy guns. It was always a stick. And the best thing about the gun being a piece of a branch that you pick up off the ground is that right now it's a machine gun. 5 minutes ago, it was a rifle, and in about 10 minutes from now, it's going to be a bazooka. Just nonstop arguments of, I shot you. No, you didn't. You missed me. Because boys are dumb. Oh my gosh. You had more buildings in London than Saskatoon. Yeah, but you guys have a great song about you, and we don't. That's a Guess Who reference. It must have been a West Coast thing. East of the prairies, none of that. What? No way. Well, I guess technically, I'm east of the prairies. But yeah, we did dumb things like that. It's a boy thing. It's a boys are dumb thing. But I think you can never run out of stick guns. No, you can't. In fact, you take a smaller piece of the branch, even if you had to break it off the end of your branch, and you put it in your pocket, because that's a pistol. Boys are dumb. Boys are dumb. And on that encouraging note, yeah, thanks everybody for coming in and sharing discourse, and I'm trying through these things I'm talking about this week, and I'm going to try to do like a theme every week, just so that I don't bore creation out of people. But there's things that we all need to chat about in our to some extent in our journey, right? Like, but I think that there needs to be a bit much bigger self-assessment going on with some people about. And I go back, and I'm going to talk about this tomorrow. If it hurts when you punch yourself in the face, stop doing it. Is basically what I'm going to talk about tomorrow, because there's a great deal of people that are running in circles. That I've got a couple questions from two people, and if they've tuned in today and lurking or whatever it is, because they haven't engaged, but I apologize, and I don't mean this in a negative context specifically towards them. But when you're asking questions about things that are actually disruptive for yourself, if there's ways that we can all think about that, and ways that other people in the chat can engage with some sort of encouragement towards reassessing, and when we talk about this through the week, right, there's a benefit to that. There's a benefit when there's enough encouraging voices around you to tell you to stop punching yourself in the face. So sometimes opening the door to dialogue and opening the door to us all sharing this congress of ideas, and how mature and intelligent and supportive the larger community that we've been fortunate to meet is. Why not all do that together? So, all right. So that's it for me for today. Thank you everybody for coming and hanging out. And I know that the conversation's still been going, and I apologize that. Thank you very much, Didi. I apologize. I'm going to cut it all short, but thank you, Jane, for that from yourself as well. Thank you, everybody, for coming out today. I tried to name everybody off by name yesterday, and I hope I didn't miss anybody, but I know I can't do that today. Texas, Frank just shouted. I don't know what I missed. Texas, a Texan who's in love with Canada. All right, I'm going to go for now. I'll be back at 2:00 tomorrow. I hope if I don't see people or hear or engage with people tomorrow, I hope you have a great long weekend for whatever you're doing your long weekend with, whether it's Easter or whether it isn't. And in the meantime, if you need a couple of silly moments, you're more than welcome to come by. And one more time, I get to show this for those of you that weren't here at the start. Thank you very much to Bob's House of Fish for sponsoring this episode. And if I could, Bob's House of Fish, we stay open late for the halibut. Located at 201 Dundas, downtown London, Ontario. If you want to reel in a great meal, come on down to Bob's and get a bite. That's my sponsor. Isn't that great? Thanks very much, Bob. Okay, gang. I'll be back tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye for now.